MSF epidemiologist Jem Patton is joining me on Skype. Now, Jem has just returned from Sierra Leone, where she was researching the Ebola outbreak. Now, Jem, you were in Sierra Leone since September and you followed the outbreak quite closely. Can you tell me what was going through your mind when you first heard about the very first diagnosis?
Yeah, I was quite afraid when I actually was in front of my first Ebola case and interviewing that person. But I was in the treatment center and separated by a gate, a fence between myself and the patient. So there was probably 2 meters between us. And very quickly I felt quite safe and it was quite easy just to talk to the patient.
Now that seems quite unnatural for me to have so much space between you and the patient. Did it feel that way for you when you first started out?
Yeah, we had very strict safety protocols. So we actually had to keep a meter and a half away from anybody and everybody while we were there. So there was a strict no-touch policy. We couldn't shake hands with new colleagues at meetings. And it did take a while to get used to that. And yeah, when I went out on outreach to villages and trying to talk to the people there, we really had to kind of say up front that we weren't going to come inside anybody's home and that we wanted to keep our distance. And we made sure that we found a good spot to stand while we addressed people in the village so that they couldn't come too close.
Now, when you were addressing people, what kinds of things were you telling them and what kind of information were you trying to extract?
Yeah, so my job as an epidemiologist was really just to try to get a sense of what was happening in the district of Kailahun. It's the district where Ebola first appeared in the country, and it's been there since June. So we've had a few areas, a few villages which were really hit very hard before my time there. And while I was there, we looked at different cases that had arrived from our treatment center to look for the hotspots in the community. So then I went to investigate those villages to find out what was happening there, whether people were aware of Ebola and their symptoms, and whether the nurses and healthcare staff in the very small primary care clinics knew what to do in a case of Ebola or potential Ebola presented itself. And I was also just there just to check that the community was aware that MSF were in the area and that we were there to help. So it was really a bit about community sensitization as well. And MSF had a really, really strong team of health promoters who went from village to village every day of the week with health messages, education and sensitization. So they did most of the work for me in those regards.